Trump and Republicans made catastrophic miscalculation by hauling Jack Smith in for congressional testimony, and sources suggest what Smith said under oath might haunt Trump forever.
Donald Trump and members of his administration are already making moves to try to illegitimately take control of the American election system. Now, Trump doesn't want Republicans to lose the House and the Senate. One big reason in particular, I think, that he keeps making very clear.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me.
We're not talking about typical political hearing where both sides spin their narratives. We're talking about reports that Republicans dragged special counsel into House Judiciary Committee in January 2026, thinking they'd embarrass him, discredit his prosecution, prove whole thing was political witch hunt. That instead, Jack Smith showed up calm and dropped devastating testimony Trump cannot recover from. That Smith told Congress on record under oath his investigation proved beyond reasonable doubt Trump committed serious crimes. That he said President Trump was charged because evidence demonstrated he willfully violated very laws he swore to uphold. That he stated if he had to do it all over again with same facts, he would make exact same decision to prosecute. And what might make this fatal mistake, rather than minor tactical error, is permanence of consequences. Sources suggest Smith's testimony now locked into congressional record forever, where it can be used by state prosecutors, civil plaintiffs, future federal prosecutors after Trump leaves office. While Trump thought having Smith testify would hurt Prosecutor, it actually created roadmap documenting Trump's guilt that sits waiting for moment presidential immunity expires. Reports indicate simultaneously Trump's own Justice Department making unprecedented errors, with Reuters investigation finding botched indictments, improper evidence handling, missed deadlines causing judges to lose faith in anything DOJ says. When you give prosecutor national platform to detail president's crimes under oath while your own legal team destroys credibility through incompetence, that's not winning. That could be setting yourself up for bigger fall later, when protection of presidency evaporates and permanent testimony record becomes ammunition for multiple prosecutions. But before we break down specific testimony Smith gave and why Trump's legal team errors compound the disaster real quick, you cannot trust mainstream media to explain how Republicans' strategy to discredit Smith backfired spectacularly, creating permanent record. That's why we built John Brown Show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want analysis showing why Smith's sworn testimony represents different threat than typical political attacks, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, let's understand what Republicans were trying to accomplish and why sources suggest it completely backfired. Because think about their plan. They brought Smith in thinking they could trap him, make him admit prosecution was political, get him to say he was pressured, prove whole thing was witch hunt. Reports indicate, but Smith didn't fall for any of it. Instead, he doubled down on everything in most damaging way possible. First, Smith told Congress his investigation developed evidence beyond reasonable doubt Trump engaged in criminal activity. That's not "we think he did it" or "probably guilty." That's highest standard of proof in American legal system, what prosecutors must meet to get conviction. Sources suggest Smith saying, "We can prove it. We have evidence, we have witnesses, we have documents, and jury would convict based on what we have." He's not hedging, not qualifying. He's saying flat out Trump is guilty, and we can prove it. Then at House Judiciary, hearing Smith said directly, President Trump was charged because evidence demonstrated he willfully violated very laws he swore to uphold. Reports indicate willfully is legal term meaning Trump knew what he was doing was illegal and did it anyway. Not accident, not misunderstanding, not declassifying with his mind. Trump knew law, knew he was breaking it, did it anyway. That's most damning kind of criminal intent possible. And Smith made it personal, saying he stands by his decision to prosecute. If he had same facts again, would do exact same thing. When you combine prosecutors staking entire professional reputation under oath on Trump being criminal with testimony now permanently locked in congressional record, with simultaneous Justice Department incompetence destroying Trump team's credibility through botched cases and missed Supreme Court deadlines costing government $2 billion, pattern emerges showing Trump handed his prosecutor microphone and national stage thinking he'd embarrass him, but instead, Smith used platform to create permanent documentation of guilt that becomes roadmap for future prosecutions moment presidential immunity expires. Let's start with understanding specific statements Smith made under oath, because sources suggest these create permanent record that cannot be spun away. At January 2026 House Judiciary hearing, Smith testified his investigation developed evidence beyond reasonable doubt Trump engaged in criminal activity. Reports indicate that's not maybe, not some concerns. That's standard for criminal conviction in court. Smith said it multiple times, establishing he had proof sufficient to convict. Think about willfully violated language. Sources suggest Smith testified Trump willfully violated very laws he swore to uphold. That's legal term with specific meaning. Reports indicate it means Trump knew what he was doing was illegal and did it anyway. Not accident, not misunderstanding, not claiming he thought he could declassify things mentally. Trump knew law, knew he was breaking it, chose to do it anyway. That's most damning kind of criminal intent prosecutors can demonstrate because it shows conscious choice to commit crime rather than mistake or ignorance. And there's Smith doubling down. Sources suggest he said he stands by decision to prosecute. If he had same facts again, would do exact same thing. Reports indicate that means Smith not backing down, not apologizing, not saying maybe went too far. He's saying, no, we were right, evidence is there, Trump committed crimes, prosecuting him was correct decision, period. That's prosecutor staking entire professional reputation on idea. Trump is criminal and doing it under oath in front of Congress where statement becomes permanent public record. Think about January 6th testimony. Sources suggest in closed-door deposition later summarized publicly and released in video clips, Smith said, January 6th attack does not happen without Donald Trump, called Trump, by large measure, most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. Reports indicate not just involved, not just participant, most responsible, ringleader, guy who made it all happen, and Smith stressed crimes were committed for Trump's benefit, meaning this wasn't chaos but scheme, planned to keep Trump in power illegally. When prosecutor under oath calls sitting president most responsible person in criminal conspiracy, that creates historical record that cannot be erased. But step back and consider why testimony being locked into congressional record represents different kind of threat, because sources suggest this isn't about immediate prosecution, but future accountability. Smith's testimony now part of permanent congressional record forever. Reports indicate it can be used by state prosecutors, by civil plaintiffs, by future federal prosecutors after Trump leaves office. Smith created roadmap. He laid out evidence. He explained legal theory. He put everything on record. Think about what this means when immunity expires. Sources suggest right now Trump protected by presidential immunity. DOJ has policy you can't indict sitting president, so federal cases on hold. Reports indicate, but moment Trump leaves office, whether that's 2029 or sooner, that protection goes away. Prosecutors can use Smith's testimony as blueprint. They can say, respected career prosecutor already laid out evidence, already explained legal theory, already said it meets beyond reasonable doubt standard. Let's pick up where he left off. That makes prosecuting Trump way easier because groundwork already done, case already made. They just have to file charges. And there's state and civil exposure. Sources suggest state prosecutors in Georgia still have active case against Trump for election interference. New York has multiple investigations ongoing. Reports indicate civil plaintiffs lining up with lawsuits. All of them can point to Smith's testimony, can say, even federal prosecutors said Trump committed crimes, even guy who saw all evidence said it was beyond reasonable doubt. That gives them ammunition, gives them credibility, makes Trump's defenses weaker, because how do you argue you're innocent when prosecutor under oath said he can prove you're guilty? Share this video with everyone you know because there's Republicans' miscalculation. Sources suggest they thought bringing Smith in would discredit him, but analysis from multiple outlets says it backfired completely. Reports indicate one summary called it embarrassing setback for Republicans and bad news for Donald Trump because Smith didn't get rattled, didn't get defensive, just calmly, methodically restated case against Trump. Democrats got clips, got quotes, got prosecutor under oath saying president is criminal. That's political gold Trump handed them by allowing testimony to happen. But let's examine how Trump's own Justice Department simultaneously destroying credibility through incompetence, because sources suggest this compounds disaster. Reuters did massive investigation into Trump's DOJ, and what they found is shocking. Reports indicate DOJ under Trump making unprecedented errors that career prosecutors say they've never seen before. Botched indictments where they charge people with wrong crimes or cite wrong laws, improper evidence handling where they violate discovery rules or lose track of material, misstatements to courts where they tell judges things that turn out false. Think about judicial response. Sources suggest, according to Reuters, judges have been quashing subpoenas, threatening contempt charges, dismissing criminal complaints at unusually high rate, expressing skepticism about claims coming from Trump's DOJ. Reports indicate that's huge because once judges stop trusting your lawyers, you're done. Everything you file gets extra scrutiny. Every argument you make gets questioned. You lose credibility, almost impossible to rebuild. That's where Trump's Justice Department is right now, in credibility dumpster. And there's Supreme Court disaster. Sources suggest Vox reported on case where Trump's lawyers literally missed critical deadline, just forgot to file something on time. Reports indicate because of that mistake, lower court ruling stood, which means government, meaning taxpayers, could be on hook for up to $2 billion. $2 billion with B, because Trump's lawyers didn't put filing in on time. That's not politics, not strategy. That's incompetence, pure and simple, costing government massive amount of money through basic procedural failure. Share this with everyone because there's why this matters for Trump personally. Sources suggest a lot of his legal defenses depend on Justice Department, immunity arguments, executive privilege claims, efforts to shield allies from contempt charges. Reports indicate all of that requires DOJ judges' trust. But if judges think Trump's lawyers making careless mistakes, if they think DOJ more focused on politics than law, they're going to be skeptical, going to scrutinize everything, going to rule against Trump more often, which is exactly what's been happening. When your own legal team destroys credibility while prosecutor creates permanent record of your guilt, that's perfect storm of legal disaster. So here's what fatal mistake reveals. Republicans hauled Jack Smith into House Judiciary Committee testimony January 2026, thinking they'd embarrass him, discredit prosecution, prove whole thing was witch hunt. Instead, Smith showed up calm and testified under oath his investigation proved beyond reasonable doubt Trump committed serious crimes. He said President Trump was charged because evidence demonstrated he willfully violated very laws he swore to uphold. With willfully meaning, Trump knew what he was doing was illegal and did it anyway. Smith stated if he had same facts again, would make exact same decision to prosecute, staking entire professional reputation on Trump being criminal. In closed-door deposition, Smith said, January 6th attack does not happen without Donald Trump, calling him most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. Sources suggest Smith's testimony now locked into permanent congressional record forever, where it can be used by state prosecutors, civil plaintiffs, future federal prosecutors after Trump leaves office, creating roadmap for prosecutions moment presidential immunity expires. Analysis from multiple outlets called hearing embarrassing setback for Republicans and bad news for Donald Trump, because Smith didn't get rattled, just calmly restated case giving Democrats clips and quotes showing prosecutor under oath calling president criminal. Reuters investigation found Trump's Justice Department making unprecedented errors, including botched indictments, improper evidence handling, misstatements to courts causing judges to quash subpoenas, threaten contempt, dismiss complaints at unusually high rate. Vox reported Trump lawyers missed Supreme Court deadline costing government up to $2 billion through basic procedural failure. Reports indicate when judges stop trusting DOJ, Trump loses credibility on immunity arguments, executive privilege claims, efforts to shield allies. When you give prosecutor national platform to detail crimes under oath while own legal team destroys credibility through incompetence, when testimony creates permanent record that becomes ammunition for multiple future prosecutions, when Republican strategy to discredit investigation backfires giving Democrats political gold, that's not winning. That might be Trump setting himself up for bigger fall later when presidential protection evaporates and sworn testimony documentation of guilt becomes blueprint for convictions in multiple jurisdictions with incompetent legal team unable to mount effective defense. Stay tuned.